From Viking halls to the cities of the future, terrain buffs will love our foreground hub. Watch gaming tables of all genres come to life at beastsofwar.com. Fight for the Iron Kingdoms as a warcaster. Take control of the mighty jacks, arcane devices, and dark sorceries to bring the fight to the War Machine Hub on beastsofwar.com.
Hey everybody, it is time for another episode of AdeptiCon Talks. And today we are joined in another studio with our friend Joey McGuire, and we are going to talk about This Is Not a Test. So everybody may be aware that we've had a Kickstarter. Game has been definitely building in popularity. People are excited about it. I know when we heard you were going to be at AdeptiCon, we thought, we definitely have to check into this more because I know people have been asking a lot of questions. So we thought this was a perfect opportunity to get you on camera and have you tell everybody, if they're not already familiar with the game, what it is and what we can expect to see at the show.
Sure, awesome. As she said, my name is Joey McGuire. I'm the author of This Is Not a Test. This Is Not a Test is a project that I started about 3 years ago because at a basic level, I realized I loved old school games from Games Workshop like Necromunda and Mordheim. I loved that warband type of game.
Sure.
Where you have your, every model gets experience and that kind of fun. And I played the crap out of Fallout 3, which was a game that was set in I actually live in the area. I used to actually, I lived in an area called Greenbelt, and there's actually a building that was specifically in Fallout 3, and I'm like, I know that building. It was such a cool experience. I said, okay, I need to make a game. I don't come from most miniature gamers are making, we're always toying with rules, playing with rules, trying to make things better or make them more as we
break
like
them.
break them. So I said, you know what, I'm going to do it. And I just started working on rules. And eventually, after, I would say, 2 years of punishing people with play testing, I came up with This Is Not a Test.
Check this out. Try this. Yeah.
Yeah. My first game went terrible, which is always should.
But you went back for more. So, that's cool.
Yeah. And so what is This Is Not a Test? It is basically a Mordheim, Necromunda, that style of game. It's every post-apocalyptic. If there's a post-apocalyptic movie, it's a movie, comic book, literature, whatever you want. I've referenced it somewhere. I like to consider. There's many different types of post-apocalypse: zombies, pollution, meteors, nuclear. All that stuff is there. My version, which is my favorite version, is post-nuclear.
Okay.
With additional, there's also some kind of, and then nuclear, biological, all kinds of crazy poisons, because that gives you mutations and psychic abilities and kind of all the fun pulp elements of the genre where, Mad Max is cool because it's all gas and engines, but what if they had mutants and that kind of thing?
Sure.
So that's kind of where it is. It's, humans, mutants, robots. Those are not so much robots yet. We're slowly adding things as we go along, but the core book that we have out now is I think the 6 warbands are peacekeepers, which are your lawmen types, mutants, raiders, tribals, which are kind of your eschewing technological types, because that's what ruined man in the first place. Caravanners, your guys who are still trying to make a buck. I think that's 1, 2, 3, 4. And never forget raiders, because humanity is always at its worst.
It does, yeah. It'll bring out the best and the worst in people for sure.
Yeah, I'm like, if you have miniatures for it, you can play it. That's what I wanted to bring, as many, and we're always adding more material. But the book itself, which some of your readers may or may not know, hopefully they know, we ran a Kickstarter, and we didn't make $1 million like a lot of game companies do, but we weren't trying to make $1 million. When I was writing the Kickstarter, I jokingly did $9,000 worth of stretch goals. I was like, there's no way in heck. I was hoping, we were actually asking for, I want to say, $1,000, because I thought we'd have 100 people. That'd be like, okay, I'd be like, cool, I would buy this guy's book. We ended up doing about $50,000.
Awesome.
Which we actually went through our stretch goals in I want to say 2 hours. I
That's
was making
crazy.
stuff up on the fly. Now
That's where we really test your creative genius there, right? That's
well,
where it shines.
the trick with Kickstarters is a lot of companies. What kills Kickstarters is overpromising.
Sure.
Some people, if you think you add $50,000 to a Kickstarter, you're not adding $50,000 more of material. You're adding $30,000 of shipping costs and
Right.
all this stuff. So you have a lot of folks who, unfortunately, it just kind of they kind of stall because they've got your money and they don't have any way to give you the final product because they went through it all trying to fulfill, and it's a nasty cycle. And a lot of good people who are doing a lot of hard work and stuff like because sometimes they just get so enthusiastic. And I really worked hard not to do that. I didn't want to overpromise,
Mm-hmm.
and we finally delivered. I was hoping for September. It was a little later, but unfortunately, for instance, we had a box got held up in shipping for a month in the UK.
Yeah.
It just kind of disappeared. We didn't know where it went. And when you've got 100 people's worth of stuff, they get kind of mad at you.
Yeah.
But I sent everywhere from down the street to a couple countries in the Middle East. I couldn't even translate the address
That's awesome.
successfully, so I was pretty happy. But what the Kickstarter really did for us was it put us on the map a little bit. People like as humans, people like success.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
If 3 people are playing a game, you might get a 4th. But if 20 people are playing a game, you get 4 or 5 coming like, oh, if they like it, then it must either it's good or there's something worth looking at least.
Sure.
And I'd like to think that's kind of what we showed was that we started building a community because I really say like the fans are the bedrock of what I am doing. I am trying I go on Facebook every day. I'm talking to people like there's no wall of separation between me and the people playing my rules. If they have a rules question, I will answer it for them that day if I can. It's that kind of thing I like to do.
That's awesome. And people really respond to that. I think that makes a big difference for gamers, when there is not that disconnect, and,
Right.
you have access to the mind behind something, possibly influence to change, or idea makers,
Right.
that's where cool things happen sometimes.
And I think it's also I'm a small I'm a what they call one-man shed business. It's just me doing it. And I do think I punch a little bit above my weight class because of the success of the Kickstarter and finding really good people to do like the artists and my layout and sculptors I work with are all phenomenal talents. I had a point. What was I going? Oh, sorry. So, say you take I think my advantage of being a small company is I only have one rule set I sell.
Sure.
I'm not an author who has had 20 books. There's always the famous pictures of Rick Priestley having to look up rules and he wrote them. How would he not know? But the guy has written so many rule sets.
Absolutely.
Even, through so many iterations, it's impossible. And then when the community gets so large, you could imagine, if Games Workshop had that kind of policy where you could talk to the writers, they would never get anything done at that point when a community gets so large. But for right now, I'm really enjoying the fact that we're just talking to people. I had a conversation today with a gentleman. He's like, "I'd like to do this," and I'm like, "That's a really cool idea. I hadn't thought
That's
about
awesome.
it. Let me put that in because why not? I can still I still have the ability to do that before things start to stratify as much as more established game makers can become. So I think that's kind of the fun of this is not a test. Is I'm still very passionate about it. It's my baby.
That's cool.
And I think when I say that I punch above my weight class is because if you look at our book, which I have a copy right here.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Very cool.
I'll mention one particular. I have considered what I consider kind of a pillar of the TNT community where I think the strength is, and one of them is ex Games Workshop employee Dave Taylor.
Sure.
Always bring him up in every conversation because that man made my book look awesome.
There you go.
I will tell you right now,
props to Dave.
Looks amazing.
Yeah.
Dave Taylor, he's probably going to hear this some point in time. And and another great vector for us, people filming battle reports. We've got a pretty good YouTube community I'm really happy with. And it's just the fans. Just people. One thing I would like to I would like to steer back to is miniatures, and that I sell a small range of miniatures, but there are people who are just using whatever miniatures they have laying around. I've had people say, "I can't believe that I can break out like my old Necromunda miniatures." I've had people buy like crazy historical miniatures, slap AK-47s on the Zulu tribesmen, and they're just some of the conversions I've seen. It's like really rewarding because the way TNT works is I don't give you a warlord is a warlord. You can buy you can buy him any weapon you want. He has a certain level of many skills. You can have a guy toting a sniper rifle with a suit of power armor, or just give him a big club and send him at the enemy and give him some skills so he can knock guys' heads off, all kinds of fun stuff. I mean, really, the book is meant to play it as you want, because I noticed a lot of miniatures that I had like AK-47s. And I was playing one set of rules, and machine guns in that game were so expensive you could have one per warband or one per group. So if you've got a lot of those guys, it's like, well, so I was like, well, let's maybe depower them a little bit to represent that guns are kind of crappier in the post-apocalypse, so we can or you balance the game so hand to hand is a little more stronger than shooting. So there's an equal path to victory with both options. And I think we've balanced that pretty well.
That sounds great. It sounds like you've left a lot of flexibility open for people, which I know people really respond to, because we all have shiny syndrome, and it's real easy to want to hop into this, that, and the other thing, and then you find yourself with a big collection of things, and you might not be playing everything anymore. So when you can pull those pieces in, that's pretty awesome. Do you want to tell everybody a little bit about how gameplay works?
Sure. So TNT really kind of has two major rules that I think maybe make it different than other games you may have played. The first is it has so activation. So the way activation works is so your model has a metal stat. The stat, if this were to be an RPG game, would be his intelligence, dexterity, basically all these non-miniature game stats that we generally don't use for little models that you would use in other games. And so that's basically how he's reacting to the battlefield conditions as it is. So you roll that stat, which from all models minimum have a metal of 5, and we use a D10, and you're going to add that stat to it. If you get higher than a target number of 10, then that model has passed his activation test. He gets 2 actions. As long as you keep making those activation tests, you can keep moving models in sequence. If any time you ever fail that test, that model gets 1 action. So he always gets to do something, usually either to move out of the way or like maybe hopefully get a charge off, and then play passes to the other player.
That's pretty cool.
So what happens is it kind of ping-pongs back and forth, and especially fun for 3 or 4 player games where people are jumping in. Now, all models will get to go at some point in time. It's not like a lot of games where, like, I know a lot of people kind of hate those activation systems because they don't get some games where you just won't be able to move your model at all. And people don't like that much of a tar pit. But and I've even had people who say, I really hate that type of thing. They like, this works, we're good with it. Which kind of is the rules that I'm like, all right, awesome, we're doing something right. And there's ways of like buying skills to kind of massage that a bit so you guys aren't as prone to it. And the other thing I'd like to think we would do is we do casualty determinations prior to play passing to the next player. So if I've got a guy with a machine gun and he puts 3 shots down the field, in a lot of games we would resolve this immediately. He knew that he would kill the first guy and immediately pull away and shoot the next guy. Well, you don't have that luxury in TNT. This is not a test. I call it TNT for short.
Sure.
Instead, we figure out who your targets are. All right, hit. So we know you have to either put all your hits on one guy, or you can spread them out as you like. That's okay. But we're not going to say who's dead. We're not going to determine if they're wounded or not until you've done firing for all the models that can possibly go. So you have to make a tactical choice of either trying to spread out your shots and get lucky, or putting 3 or 4 shots into one guy and like really making sure he goes down. And I've seen some amazing saves. People
That
stack dice because we use D6s to mark who's been hit, and like six, just making of like a 5+ roll, like something hard, something that shouldn't even be happening. And the luck of the devil, and then sometimes the guy in power armor, the guy gets a lucky shot off and he dies.
Right. Oh, that sounds pretty
But
cool.
yes, yeah. There's well, if I didn't mention before, so TNT kind of has that what I like to call a retro sci-fi aesthetic to it. Fallout really does it really well, but it's kind of a combination of like it's like a pulp. It's almost like a pulp kind of feeling to it.
Mhm.
So there's power armor, ray guns, plasma casters, armor that lets you go invisible. All that fun stuff is there, except it's prone to breaking and it's very expensive and hard to find.
Sure.
So,
So it's risk versus reward as far as what you want to get into for that.
I'm always adding new stuff in.
That's awesome. Well, it sounds like a lot of fun. Is there a particular scale, or since you leave it open to using whatever you like, can it kind of be all over the place?
I sell miniatures at 28 millimeter.
Okay.
So in my head, that's my preferred scale for small games. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that we actually have a hashtag a friend created called hashtag 15mm TNT for folks playing it at the 15 mil level. I've got a couple supporters there and they love it. And some of them are like they reduce the ranges. Some of them just play with 15 millimeter with individually based models.
Sure.
And just have fun with it. And so, yeah, it's whatever you want it to be, kind of. I like to say it's just a set of stats. What you want to do with the game is please do.
That's great.
Like there's a critter in there called the land snapper, which is kind of like a giant snapping turtle. And there's stats for a big one and a small one. And people use that small one stats for all kinds of nasty beasties. Because it's just, really, what's the difference between like a snapping turtle the size of a truck and a giant dog? They both are hard to kill. They both have a jaw snap that will crap you in half. It's that kind of thing. It's just a bunch of numbers. Have fun with it.
That's cool. A lot of freedom there for the imagination to go.
Absolutely.
So, what can we expect to see at AdeptiCon for TNT then?
My AdeptiCon plans are late, unfortunately. So I was able to find. I have a small son, so it kind of makes hard planning.
Sure.
But at the last minute, I was able to go, and the folks at AdeptiCon have been awesome with working with me. They're really great, very professional. And so I will be at the vendor hall for the first time as a vendor. I've been to conventions before. I've demoed TNT a lot. I've run games, but I've never been. My first time in the dealer hall, and I'll be actually sharing a booth with Fallout Hobbies, who does awesome decals.
Nice.
And I will be having I'll be running demos, very small demos in the booth.
Which is great.
I'll be running. Also have, of course, I'll be selling all my stuff.
Sure.
I'll have extra books from the Kickstarter selling, get them while they're still here.
Right. Yeah, act now.
I'm a mainly PDF business, but people wanted that book. I said, okay. And
there's nothing better than a hardcover book. Let's be honest. Convenience for PDF is amazing, but I'm a sucker for a hardcover book. There's no doubt about it.
Honestly, the book really does look nice. I'm very proud of it. And so we'll be selling, and we'll have hopefully. I'm hoping to almost triple the amount of miniatures I'm selling. I have a bunch of new releases that are a lot of those birds are coming home to roost, so I'll be very excited to have new miniatures to show off. Also, I have a few secret things that I don't want to tell yet because I don't want to, I don't want to let anyone know.
That's okay. We will chase you down for them at the show. So
yes, there is. I'll have some cool new products. I'll be very happy to show off.
Good.
But so. Hopefully have new warbands to show off. I'll be taking one of the things that we have the next expansion coming out, which is another 100-page PDF.
Nice. Which
will double the amount of mutations, add new warbands, all kinds of fun stuff. And then that's my next release, so hopefully that will be, if not ready for Adepticon, we'll be able to discuss it, show people this is what exactly is in the book.
Sure.
And then I'll also be talking about the next expansion, which is people have been wanting vehicles, and we're like, yes, we are going to do vehicles.
Awesome. Well, you heard it here. Vehicles. There you go.
Yeah. It's not going to be auto dueling. It's not. It's kind of like what I imagine like Gorka Morka, or where the cars supplement the warband. They don't take over the warband.
Sure.
And one of the things when you're running a game, like game balance is very important. And cards at the 28 millimeter level can break a game severely.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
I'm very cautious, and I've been very slow, and we've been working on those rules for probably I have had notes for like 2 years on it, and hopefully after AdeptiCon they'll see release, and there'll be some stuff to show with that at AdeptiCon, so I'm really excited about that. And we'll also be running at 8 o'clock on Friday and Saturday night. We'll be running kind of this Madhouse Wasteland game. People are welcome to come and check out. It's
Nice.
Here's some models. Try to survive as long as you can. It's for people who were on the wait list trying to go see Duncan do his paint classes.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Sounds good.
You
Sounds
didn't get in the
good.
game, come throw dice with us. Bring your beer, because I'll have some.
There you go. That sounds like fun.
I've got, I went from me going to almost a crew of 4 of us now.
There you go.
So we're going to be, if there's a table, I will have me or someone else will be running a game at it. So
Sounds good. Sounds good. Well, we look forward to catching up with you there, Joey.
I'm very excited.
People, if you haven't had a chance to check out the game, AdeptiCon is definitely going to be the place to do it. Not only will you be able to talk to Joe and pick his brain about the game, but you can grab a demo. And there's no better way to find out if it's the right thing for you and which way you would like to go with the game than to be able to get hands-on and play the game. So we will definitely look forward to catching up with you. We will be sure to grab a chat with you, and we will get pictures of whatever secrety surprises he was alluding to there. And again, we will be live blogging from the event the whole weekend long. So if there's something in particular that you want to see or hear more about, anything in particular that you want us to make sure we ask Joey about, make sure you comment below, and we will follow up with him at the show. So until AdeptiCon, we will see you soon, okay?
Awesome. I'm very excited. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Joe.
Have a good night.
Become a general of mighty armies at the Kings of War Hub. Take command of elves, dwarves, and orcs in this game of massed fantasy combat on beastsofwar.com. Humanity has been driven from Earth, but now it's time to take it back. Join the Reconquest and fight the Scourge on the Drop Zone Commander Hub at beastsofwar.com.